Get ready to ride into the dust-blown, war-torn world of the good, the bad, and the ugly. A film that redefined what it means to be a Western. It's been decades since I first saw this movie as a kid, and watching it again now felt like discovering it for the first time. It's not just about gunfights, cigars, and grim stares. This is a tale of greed, betrayal, survival, and unlikely brotherhood. With unforgettable characters, a haunting score, and visuals that could make a desert look like a cathedral, Sergio Leone's magnum opus isn't just one of the best westerns ever made, it's one of the greatest movies in cinematic history. Let's dive into the gold-hungry chaos and dissect why this film stands tall as a true masterpiece. From the first notes of Ennio Morricone's legendary score, you know this isn't your average cowboy flick. The eerie whistle, the coyote-like howls, the pauses that stretch like a loaded standoff, it builds tension fast. And then boom, we're dropped into a grimy, silent town where three men are clearly looking for trouble. They barge into a saloon, guns ready, but Tuco, the ugly, is faster. He blasts them all and leaps out the window in a flurry of chaos and grit. He doesn't just crash out. He explodes through the glass holding a revolver in one hand and a giant piece of meat and a bottle in the other. It's funny, chaotic, and dangerous all at once. No introduction needed. He's a survivor. And with his wiry frame, squinting eyes, twitchy energy, and rat-like features, Tuco immediately leaves an impression. You don't know whether to laugh, fear him, or feel sorry for him. Maybe all three. Shortly after, we meet Angel Eyes, the bad. When he walks in and starts helping himself to a stranger's dinner, it's crystal clear this man is evil. Not cartoon evil, but cold, calculating evil. And when he says,
"When I'm paid, I always see the job through."
you know you're dealing with someone who keeps receipts, whether you like it or not. What makes it worse is what follows. After grilling the man for information, he murders both him and his son. Then he shows up at the house of the man who hired him and kills him too. That's a real son of a bitch move. It's not about the money. It's about establishing dominance. A complete and total commitment to ruthlessness. Finally, we meet Blondie, the good. And yeah, it's Clint Eastwood with his white hat, silent stare, and lightning fast gun. He guns down four men and barely breaks a sweat. The man with no name is back, and he's got a new scam going with Tuco. But what sets Blondie apart is the quiet authority he carries. He doesn't need to say much. His actions do the talking. Whether it's calmly addressing a threat or strategically double-crossing Tuco to keep the upper hand, Blondie is always in control. He's methodical, calculating, and maintains a calm detachment from the chaos around him. But beneath that steely composure lies a man who shows flashes of morality. He's not perfect. He double-crosses Tuco. He's out for gold. But there's an odd nobility in his code. He's violent but measured, cold but not cruel. And in a world full of monsters, that's enough to make him look like a saint.
Tuco Benedicto Pacifico Juan Maria Ramirez has been found guilty by the 3rd District Circuit Court of the following crimes: murder, assaulting a justice of the peace, raping a virgin of the white race, statutory rape of a minor of the black race.
Tuco might be wanted in 15 counties, accused of crimes ranging from murder and robbery to statutory rape and train derailment, but let's be honest, he's the heart of the movie. Played by Eli Wallach with manic energy and wild-eyed charisma, Tuco is funny, desperate, emotional, and surprisingly complex. After Blondie leaves him in the desert to die, Tuco rants and raves, gasping out curses and shouting,
"Come back! Wait, Blondie! Listen, Blondie! Hijo de una gran puta!"
As he struggles through the sand, he's infuriating, pitiful, and absurd, all at once. One Redditor described him as a classic Falstaff figure, a fool who masks pain with bluster. In literature, a Falstaff figure is often comic, gluttonous, and boastful, but also deeply human and sometimes unexpectedly wise. That's Tuco in a nutshell. He's not just comic relief, he's layered. A survivor who never stops scheming. A man who masks his pain with outbursts, yet still manages to charm us with lines like,
"When you have to shoot, shoot, don't talk."
That bathtub moment, classic Tuco. Brutal, clever, hilarious. We see his vulnerability most clearly in the church scene with his brother Pablo. The conversation begins with mockery and sarcasm, but descends into something more painful. Tuco reveals a life of hardship, abandonment, and shame. He strikes his brother, yes, but the moment is thick with unresolved pain. His pride is a shield against a world that's offered him nothing. And when he slinks away after the encounter, we see a man crushed by his own guilt and past. And despite everything, Tuco doesn't kill the shopkeeper he robs. He lets the man keep his bottle of liquor. It's not heroic, but it's telling. Tuco's got a spark of something human in him, a spark that makes him relatable even when he's being a total bastard. He's conniving, violent, and self-serving, sure, but he's also funny, charismatic, and tragically human. And that's what makes Tuco the most compelling figure in this brutal world. We may not trust him, but we never want to stop watching him. If Tuco's the comic chaos and Blondie is a quiet storm, then Angel Eyes is pure malice. Played with icy detachment by Lee Van Cleef, Angel Eyes isn't your traditional Western villain. He doesn't shout, he doesn't gloat, he just does. Methodical, precise, and terrifying. We meet him early on, and within minutes he's already given us a taste of his brand of evil. He shows up at the home of a former soldier, demands information, and helps himself to the man's food. It's disrespectful but calculated. Once he gets what he needs, he kills the man, then he kills the man's son. No hesitation, no remorse, just brutal efficiency. But he's not done. Angel Eyes then goes to the man who hired him, accepts the payment, and kills him too. Why? Because he said he always finishes a job. Angel Eyes doesn't just kill for money, he kills to make a point. He's the kind of villain who operates by a twisted sense of honor, and that's what makes him truly dangerous. He's predictable in his unpredictability. There's no redemption arc, no glimmer of humanity. He's not in it for the thrill, he's in it for control. And yet, Angel Eyes isn't flashy, he's quiet, cold, reserved. He watches, calculates, and waits. In a world of screaming outlaws and bumbling thieves, Angel Eyes stands apart by saying very little and doing very much. He's a force of nature dressed like a man, a black cat with a gun and a mission, and every scene he's in carries a sense of dread. What sets Angel Eyes apart from other villains in westerns and cinema in general is that his menace isn't over the top, it's grounded, chillingly real. You believe this man exists, and that makes him all the more terrifying. Blondie, aka the man with no name, isn't exactly good in the classic sense. He double crosses Tuco, he drags him through the desert, he's not out to save the day, he wants gold. But he's got one thing the others don't: restraint. Where Tuco is wild and Angel Eyes is cruel, Blondie is surgical. Everything he does is deliberate. He doesn't shoot unless he has to, he doesn't speak unless it matters, and he doesn't posture. When he sees a dying Confederate soldier, he kneels beside him, lights a cigar, and gently places it in the man's mouth. There's no speech, no tears, just a moment of grace. And in a world this violent, that speaks volumes. Blondie's morality isn't about righteousness, it's about personal code. He's the kind of man who will hang Tuco for money, then shoot the rope to save his life. He'll leave you to suffer in the desert, then ride to your rescue when the game changes. He's frustrating, even cruel at times, but he's never thoughtless. Every betrayal has a strategy. Every rescue has a reason. And that's what makes Blondie fascinating. He's not a white knight, but he's not a villain either. He's a man navigating a brutal world with his own internal compass. And it's Sergio Leone's bleak vision of the West. Sometimes that's the best you can hope for. He may not talk much, but when he does, you listen. Because in a land ruled by greed and guns, a man who walks quietly and carries a steady hand might just be the most dangerous of them all.
Such ingratitude after all the times I've saved your life.
The American Civil War isn't just background noise here. It's a character. It bleeds into every frame of the film. The towns are shattered. The soldiers are broken, bandaged, limping, ghosts of themselves. It's not just visual dressing, it's existential rot. One of the most striking moments comes when Tuco and Blondie mistake a group of bluecoats covered in dust for Confederate troops. There's a comedic beat when the dust clears and the Union captain glares back at them. But beneath the humor is sadness. There's no glory here, just confusion, death, and more dust. And then there's the bridge. The Union captain, half drunk and world-weary, delivers the most cynical line in the movie.
Whoever has the most liquor to get the soldiers drunk and send them to be slaughtered, he's the winner.
Alcohol is the most potent weapon of war. He's not wrong. The men drink to forget, to numb themselves to the horror, to keep going. The bridge, constantly fought over and constantly rebuilt, becomes a symbol of everything futile about this war. No one is winning, everyone is just bleeding. When Tuco and Blondie blow the bridge sky high, it feels almost like an act of mercy. It's strategic, sure. They want to move forward, but it's also an end to a senseless slaughter. In that moment, the two outlaws do more to stop the war than any general. It's one of the film's most powerful acts, destruction as salvation. Leone doesn't glorify the war, he exposes it. Raw, pointless, and tragic. And in doing so, he adds a layer of philosophical weight to the film that most Westerns never dare to touch. The core relationship of this film isn't hero versus villain, it's Tuco and Blondie. From partners in crime to mortal enemies and back again, their dynamic is a game of chess played in gunpowder and grit. Tuco genuinely seems hurt every time Blondie betrays him. His outbursts aren't just rage, they're heartbreak. As chaotic and self-serving as Tuco is, there's something childlike in his desire to be seen and respected. And it makes you wonder, did he hope for something real, a true partnership? Later, when Tuco tries to betray Blondie again, it doesn't feel like hatred, it feels like reflex. This is a world where trust gets you killed, and the rules are simple: betray first or get buried. And yet, despite all the betrayals, beatings, and schemes, the two men end up side by side again and again. They protect each other. They fight like brothers. They screw each other over like rivals. But when the gun smoke clears, there's always a strange mutual understanding between them. It's not love, it's not friendship, but it's something. A flicker of loyalty in a world that doesn't deserve it. And maybe that's the most powerful thing in the entire film. Sergio Leone doesn't just shoot scenes, he composes them like a maestro. Every frame is a visual symphony. Close-ups of squinting eyes, fingers twitching near a trigger, flies buzzing over sweat-soaked brows. The camera lingers, not just to build suspense, but to force you into the heat and dust of every moment. Leone doesn't just rush, he lets the tension simmer until it snaps like a dry twig underfoot. And then there's the music. Ennio Morricone's score is legendary, and rightfully so. It doesn't just accompany the film, it defines it. The main theme, with its whistling wind, coyote howls, and the electric twang, instantly conjures the barren, brutal beauty of the Old West. But it's more than just iconic, it's deeply emotional. Take The Ecstasy of Gold, a sequence where Tuco runs madly through a massive graveyard, desperately searching for the grave that hides $200,000 in gold. The camera spins, the tension mounts, and Morricone's score swells from a whisper to a scream. It's not just a scene, it's a cinematic crescendo. The music and visual combined into pure sensory overload. It's chaotic, it's beautiful, it's unforgettable. Morricone's compositions aren't just background, they're characters in their own right. Three Men, One Grave, a triangle of mistrust. The final standoff in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is arguably the most iconic duel ever captured on film. Leone turns a simple shootout into an operatic ballet of tension, silence, and anticipation. The music pulses, eyes dart, fingers twitch, nobody speaks, nobody moves too fast. The camera jumps between extreme close-ups, each blink, each breath feels like thunder. The moment is cinema distilled to its purest form, image and sound in perfect sync. And when the time finally comes, bang! Blondie shoots Angel Eyes, not because he's the fastest, but because he's the smartest. He knew something the others didn't. Tuco's gun wasn't loaded. He rigged the game before it even started. Tuco's scream, as he stands on the wooden cross with a noose around his neck, is both hilarious and gut-wrenching. Is Blondie about to leave him for dead? Has the game turned deadly for real? But then, crack, a rifle shot echoes. The rope snaps, Tuco drops safely to the ground. Blondie rides off into the horizon and leaves Tuco howling in frustration. It's not love, it's not even friendship, it's mutual respect tangled with a little cruelty and a lot of irony. The game is over, the gold is split, and so ends one of the most legendary tales ever told in the Wild West. Some lines from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly aren't just memorable, they become gospel in the world of cinema. Here are three that capture the soul of the film.
When you have to shoot, shoot, don't talk.
This is Tuco delivering a moment of brutal honesty and black comedy after blowing away a long-winded bounty hunter.
You see, in this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns, and those who dig. You dig.
This is Blondie asserting control in the final moments of the film with a single line that defines the movie's power dynamic.
Every gun makes its own tune.
This is Blondie again, poetic and ominous, reminding us that in the Old West, even violence has its own signature. These lines didn't just stick because they're quotable, they stuck because they speak to the themes of power, survival, and identity. Each one feels earned, perfectly delivered, and etched into cinematic history. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly wasn't just a film, it was a miracle of messy brilliance behind the scenes. Making this legendary Western was almost as dramatic as the story on screen. Take Tuco's infamous train scene where he escapes by uncuffing himself from a dead man just as the train speeds by. What you don't see, the crew forgot to remove the steel steps from the train cars. Eli Wallach, who was literally inches away from the track, later revealed he could have been decapitated. No stunt double, no CGI, just pure luck and a little recklessness. And if things seemed a bit chaotic on set, that's because they were. Sergio Leone didn't speak English. Clint Eastwood didn't speak Italian. So many scenes were directed through gestures, translators, or just guesswork. Some actors delivered lines in different languages altogether, knowing they'd be dubbed later. This language gap also contributed to growing tensions. Clint Eastwood, already iconic thanks to the previous Dollars films, found himself increasingly frustrated with Leone's obsessive attention to detail, especially when it came to endless retakes and waiting around for Leone to nail the perfect shot. After this movie, Eastwood refused to work with Leone again, despite the director's pleadings. But perhaps the most magical element of all, Ennio Morricone's score wasn't just added in post, he composed the music before scenes were shot. Leone played the score on set while filming, shaping the pacing, tone, and emotion of each shot around the music. That's why everything from Tuco's sprint through the graveyard to the final three-way duel feels like it was born to the rhythm of Morricone's music, because it was. It adds up to one simple truth. This movie wasn't just made, it was fought for, it was improvised, it was lucky and dangerous and inspired. And somehow all that chaos came together to form one of the most iconic films of all time. It wasn't easy, it wasn't safe, but it was unforgettable. The dust, the danger, the genius, it's all part of the legend. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly isn't just a Western. It's a myth wrapped in dust and gunpowder. It's about survival, greed, loyalty, and the moral ambiguity that defines us all. From Tuco's chaos to Blondie's code, from Angel Eye's evil to Leone's operatic direction, it's a film that doesn't just show the West, it redefines it. And decades later, we're still talking about it, quoting it, rewatching it, and arguing over who the real main character is. That's what makes it timeless. Thanks for watching. Hit like if this deep dive took you back to the dusty cemetery. Subscribe for more cinematic breakdowns.